Bill C-14, the government legislation allowing euthanasia and assisted suicide, passed the House of Commons on May 30 and now is before the Senate. The Senate is currently debating and voting on amendments to the bill that have been proposed by different senators. Now, the EFC is completely opposed to euthanasia and assisted suicide and lament that these practices are now legal and happening across the country. Though opposed, we have engaged in the debates over the legislation in order to minimize the harm to vulnerable persons and to press for conscience protection. In the absence of federal legislation, provinces and territories are interpreting the court's decision and deciding what they will allow. Bill C-14 and euthanasia-assisted suicide is not what we want for our country or for Canadians. Bill 14 did interpret the Charter decision fairly narrowly, restricting access to euthanasia and assisted suicide to competent adults with an incurable illness, disease, or disability, whose death was reasonably foreseeable. We believe legislative safeguards and restrictions will much better protect the vulnerable than the unclear language of the Carter decision, which is what now stands in the absence of any federal legislation. However, the Senate has already passed an amendment that would remove some restrictions and significantly expand the categories of people who would be eligible for medical assistance in dying. This is deeply troubling. In addition to the amendments already passed, we're also very concerned that the Senate will amend the bill to allow for advance directives, which would mean a patient would not need to be capable of consent when their life is taken. The legislation also lacks sufficient conscience protection for medical professionals and for healthcare institutions. One Senate amendment that would have provided protection was defeated. Now, once the Senate has voted on the amendments and vote on the bill has taken place, it will be sent back to the House of Commons. The House will then decide whether to accept the amendments or reject some and send the bill back to the Senate. Eventually, a majority of the House and Senate must agree on a final text. We urge you to contact your Member of Parliament as soon as possible to ask them to reject the Senate's amendments to loosen the restrictions of Bill 14 and to press for conscience protection. Senators, too, need to hear from us that protections written into Bill C-14 would not be weakened but strengthened. Updates and more information are posted on our website at the efc.ca. That's www.theefc.ca. Please take a few moments and get involved in this critical debate. And please pray for our country and for our politicians.